Hey guys, Troubletcat here, recording for the Zombie Arcade, and I know this is a little bit of a late video, but I figured I'd make a video to talk about my top 5 games of 2011. I would have made this earlier in the year. It's an idea I've had for a long time, but only just now actually got around to it. But you know, what the hell, maybe you missed some of these games, and you're still interested, or, I don't know, it's just something I felt like doing. So I am! Well, without further ado, oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention. I considered making a top 10. There are other games that I could have mentioned that I did really enjoy this year. But I just wanted to take the top 5 because these are the games that I really actually have something to say about. You know, my top 10, I liked Dark Souls, I liked Skyrim. I could have made a top 7. Number 5, Duke Nukem Forever. So, Duke Nukem Forever. This game, I think, got a really bad rap. A lot of people didn't like this game. They didn't like this game, and I can really understand why. It does have a lot of problems, and I feel from an objective standpoint, I do have to say this game has a lot of issues. There's a lot that it gets extremely wrong. But for my part, I had fun with this game. The single-player campaign is this kind of weird thing. It doesn't quite know if it wants to be classic Duke. It doesn't quite know if it wants to be something more like Half-Life, or even occasionally, bits of Halo and stuff like that coming through. There's definitely some weird incongruities about the campaign. There's one level that's just really disturbing that doesn't really fit in with the game in general. There's these puzzles that break up the flow that most of them don't quite work. But for my part, despite all these issues, I actually had a really fun time playing this game just because it was a bit of stupid action, shooting a whole bunch of aliens. Duke had his sense of humor. There were some fun mini-games, good parts in here. And so, I want to mention this game because this is one that I think got a way worse rap than it deserved. It's a flawed game, but it's by no means a terrible game, and for my part, I had a lot of fun with this one. Number 4, L.A. Noire. So, L.A. Noire was a little bit of a controversial release, sort of, critically and in terms of consumer reception, because a lot of people felt that the game, took the controller out of your hands too much, that there wasn't quite enough actual gameplay. They found it slow, dull, they found it, I don't know, some people had problems with this game because they felt like, I guess, it wasn't enough of a game. It was too much of an interactive film. For me, I liked Heavy Rain, to give some context. I actually enjoyed Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit and those kinds of games, so this could be a lot more interactive movie than it is, and I'd still enjoy it. What I do want to say about this game is I found it, my first playthrough, utterly engaging. I really got into the story and the setting and the characters, and it's just, it's the kind of story that I like. I'm into crime fiction and all that kind of stuff, so I really like this game. I felt like the interrogation gameplay thing, it had problems, it only sort of worked, but it was fun, it was new, it was novel. That's the thing you can say about this game, is it did things that other games haven't done, or haven't done in a very long time, and I really appreciated it for that, and I enjoyed the story and the characters, and this is a good one to pick up if you haven't played it. Number 3, Battlefield 3. I bet some of you are expecting this game to rank a bit higher on my list of my top games this year, and don't get me wrong, Battlefield 3 is an excellent title. It's got a pretty solid multiplayer component that is a lot of fun. It's got a decent single-player campaign, and the co-op I enjoyed my first time through. I've since realized the co-op's kind of lame, but I did have fun with it at first. There's a lot to like about this game, and the multiplayer is probably the most hours of any game that I played this year was the multiplayer in this. I've got, 300 hours or something. But there's enough problems with this game that I can't really place it any higher than number 3 on this list. The netcode's poor. Multiplayer has some serious design flaws. Honestly, it's fun, but there's a lot of issues with this thing. But still, nonetheless, this is a game that I've had a lot of fun with this year. I'm expecting to continue having fun with in the next year, which is this year now. And this is a really worthwhile game to pick up if you're into multiplayer shooters. There's no doubt about that. Number 2. The Witcher 2. The Witcher 2 I don't actually have a box copy of because this was gifted to me on Steam, but and I haven't even finished the game yet. But The Witcher 2 is a fantastic game. To me, it's everything an action RPG should be. It has a deep, complex, and challenging combat system, which is where games like Fable 3 falls down. I found Kingdoms of Amours, which is a game that came out this year. I found that game's combat system felt a little flat to me. If you're going to do an action Skyrim, don't even get me fucking started. I hate the combat system. I like Skyrim, but the combat system is balls. Anyway, we're talking about The Witcher 2 right now. If you're going to make an action RPG, you'd better make sure your combat is worth it, to me. And The Witcher 2 nailed that perfectly. But more importantly, The Witcher 2 has amazing graphics, a fantastic story and characters, something it's just actually really compelling and interesting, and it pulls off its setting to a T. The first game, The Witcher, had a lot of problems, and The Witcher 2 just sort of fixed everything and came out as a surprisingly good game to me. It's actually really impressive to see how much progress CD Projekt Red made from The Witcher, which had a good story and atmosphere, but had a lot of problems in terms of gameplay, to a game with very, very solid gameplay that has still maintained that same depth, and in fact improved upon, in a lot of ways, the depth of characterization, voice acting, and storytelling. The Witcher 2, if you're into RPGs, particularly action RPGs, is a must-play for me. Number 1, my top game of 2011, Deus Ex Human Revolution. Now, I feel like this game got kind of a rough deal, in the sense that it came out and people played it and they liked it for the most part. Reception was somewhat mixed, but most people really liked this. It had a good critical reception, and yet, when it came around for time to name Game of the Year, this game never comes up. You see Skyrim, you see Uncharted 3, you see not so much this either. Those are the two main ones. Human Revolution's name never comes up, but to me, this is my game of 2011, because what Human Revolution did for me was, this game really surprised me by taking something that I feel a lot of nostalgia for, and it's always hard to top nostalgia. That's why, you know, modern versions of old games rarely satisfy. That's one of the reasons... Well, no, not really. And I thought Human Revolution was not going to be anything like the original Deus Ex, which is still my top game of all time. And Square Enix and Eidos really surprised me by putting out this game that is actually... it plays in a modernized fashion, it's true. It's got modern graphics, no doubt. It's a pretty game. There's some inconsistencies with the graphics, but still it looks very nice. But they put out a game that actually stays true to the spirit of the original Deus Ex, and Deus Ex was a very complex game. It offered a lot of different opportunities to approach situations in different ways. It had an interesting setting and storytelling, and just what it came down to was the level of freedom in Deus Ex was something that I had more or less given up on seeing in a modern RPG/shooter style game. This game, I didn't think something like this could come out in the 2011 market, and I absolutely loved it to bits. I don't know what else to say about it. I did a full review on Deus Ex Human Revolution. It's on my website. I'll put a link in the description. So if you want to know more about why I absolutely fucking love this game, and why this is my game of 2011, do check out that review. But suffice to say, it was a lot of fun. It had very, very few faults. I'm not going to say there were none, but it had very few faults. And it spoke to my old school sensibilities in a way that few modern games do. It was an extraordinarily, amazingly enjoyable game, and I honestly recommend it to anybody who considers themselves, you know, a serious gamer. So, those are my top 5 games of 2011. As I said, I could give honorable mentions to a few other games, but I just wanted to leave it at that. And let you guys know what I thought. I know different people are going to have different lists. You know, this is my personal favorite games. People are going to have different preferences, and I'm absolutely curious to know what you guys had as your top games of the year last year. So let me know in the comments below. And until next time, Troubletcat out.